The Jiffy Lube 300 is brought to you by your neighborhood Jiffy Lube, America's fluid maintenance leader coast to coast. And by Goodyear, makers of the high-performance radial, the Eagle. And by the only jeans that shrink to fit you and you alone, Levi's Button Fly 501 Blues.
On a gray, overcast day, welcome to the Atlanta International Raceway for the first race of 1986, featuring the Automobile Racing Club of America, 40 cars strong in the Jiffy Lube 300. I'm Ken Squire, and alongside the veteran Winston Cup star, Richard Brooks. What kind of a race have we got here today?
Well, Ken, I think we're going to have a very, very fast race. I think Brett Bodine showed that by his way he qualified. Connie Sailors has got a lot of experience in drafting. I think he's going to run him good and hard. Kirk Bryan has won this race in the past. I think he's going to run him hard. I'm looking forward to a good, fast race and a lot of excitement. These guys put on a good show.
Atop the Wrangler Media Building, across the way in the infield is the STP Pit Center. And with more of the story, here's Bob Varsha.
Thank you, Ken. From our STP perspective along pit road, we're going to be analyzing the pit strategies of the 40 teams you and Dick just talked about. And who better to do that with than the acknowledged dean of stock car crew chiefs, Dale Inman. Dale, Dick mentioned we've got a very fast pole sitter today, but there's speed throughout this 40-car field.
Bob, that's true. ARCA's brought some good-looking cars to town for this weekend, and the one thing they must remember, they've had very little practice on this track, and they must settle down and remember it's 300 mile and settle in and get adjusted to everything and then put on a good show for the fans here today.
Yeah, we're sure they will. Working with us in the trenches along pit road, a couple of veteran motorsports announcers, Jerry Garrett, and right now with our pole sitter, Chris Economaki.
On the pole for the Jiffy Lube 300 with a remarkable speed is Brett Bodine. Brett, two big questions here. First of all, you have a tremendous speed cushion over the balance of the field, and everybody's wondering about how you're going to use that.
Well, Chris, I really think that, you know, the speed cushion is probably going to go away under race circumstances, and I just hope that the car runs well enough that we can stay up front and try to stay out of trouble.
Okay, you're new to super speedways, but more importantly, you're in a field of cars that you've never seen before, many of the drivers you've never met before. Do you look upon this as a possible problem?
Yeah, I really do, Chris. That's the big problem really I'm facing today is I don't know the competition that well. I don't know who we can draft with and who you can trust, and I definitely know that the lap cars are a problem in ARCA racing, and, you know, we just got to kind of step lightly coming through traffic and hope that we can all stay out of trouble.
Well, this going to mean that you're going to take it easy at the outset? You get the feel of things before you really stand on it?
Yeah, that's what I hope to do. I just, you know, want to run up front and stay out of trouble and, you know, save the car for the end in case somebody should come up and challenge me for the win.
Okay, and now across the front row with Connie Sailors, our colleague, Jerry Garrett.
Well, Connie Sailor, you're 3 miles an hour slower than the guy on the pole here. Does that concern you for the race?
Well, it would concern anybody if you're being outrun by 3 miles an hour, but the most important thing about this race is to finish it, because 300 miles with a lot of guys that haven't got a lot of experience on super speedways, you need to try to finish the race first.
So you got a setup that you think you can do that?
That's what we set the car up to do, was finish the race. Not to run real fast to start with, but to be here when it's over.
We'll be back to set the field for the Jiffy Lube 300 and start the race right after this.
At the Atlanta International Raceway, field rolling out for the Jiffy Lube 300, and let's take a look now at the starting lineup. In the front row, on the pole, is Brett Bodine of Harrisburg, North Carolina these days. He qualified at 167 miles per hour, and right beside him is Connie Sailor. For row 2, we'll have Lee Raymond on the inside in number 1, and Kirk Bryant, who just barely got out here to make it. He blew an engine in practice this morning, but he's ready to go. Row number 3 for today's race. Bill Venturini from Chicago, Illinois, and David Sosby out of Dawsonville, Georgia. Going to row 4. There you see Rick Wilson, Bartow, Florida, ex-Winston Cup star, and Bob Dotter, the former ARCA champion, in row number 4. For row 5 this day, we'll have Bobby Brevac. He's a tough runner, and Howard Rose, number 56, in row 5. Row 6 will start Bob Penrod. He's out of Atlanta, Georgia, and Ralph Jones, number 92, the first Ford in the field. Jones, number 92. For row 7, there you see Ken Reagan. 5 months ago, he broke his neck in an accident in Talladega, Alabama. Beside him is James Stoner. Reagan in a comeback today. Row 8. There's Mark Gibson's number 90 and Joey Sontag ready to compete. For row number 9, as they come around and complete one of the first of the preliminary laps, it'll be Bob Keselowski and Scott Stovall. In row 10, Tom Usury is out here in one of the McDuffie cars in Bob Schaff. One lap and they will be racing. Row 11 is Grant Adcox and Johnny McFadden. In row number 12 today, it's Leroy Mabry and Ronnie Bates. Row 13, Paul Hansen and Bobby Dotter, the son of Bob Dotter, car number 40. Row 14 is Jim Hall, and beside him is Don Marmore. Of course, his dad, a well-known racer in the Midwest years ago. Roger Blackstock at number 42, and Danny Kelly go in row 15. For row 16, Jerry Huffman and Gary Newfer there. In row 17, it's Bill Ingram and Randy Smith. Row 18 as we get set for the start. Gary Bettenhausen ready to compete here. And alongside is Emmett Gross. There's a great story in the Bettenhausen car. The 19th row, number 19, Bob Park and Dave Simcoe to compete. Row number 20 is Bobby Jacks and Terry Pearson. Pearson riding shotgun in the field. 48 cars attempted to qualify. 40 made it for this 300-mile event at the mile-and-a-half Atlanta International Raceway. Green flag is out, and they roar down into turn number 1, and jumping out in front is Brett Bodine. Connie Saylor moves into the second spot as they hit the first turn. Everybody away into turn number 1, and immediately Bodine sets sail and pulls away from the field. Connie Saylor tucks to the inside and runs in the second position as they lean him out in the back straightaway for the first time. How fast down through here?
Well, I think they're probably 175, 180 miles an hour. This time they could get up to 185.
That blue and yellow car you saw for a moment, that's Rick Wilson, could be a real factor before it's over. Trouble up in turn number 3. One car sliding across the track is tagged by a second automobile. A major wreck here just at the start. In the very first lap, one car totally out of control, slamming head-on into the barrier. He went almost over the top of it. Car number 45. The 45 car of John McFadden out of Forest City, North Carolina, at about 80 or 90 miles an hour, slammed into the wall after car number 37, coming through the corner, slid. His driver tried to pick it up and was tagged by the 45. A correction, that was the Joey Sontag car, the number 73. There's Sontag. He's out of his automobile. He spun in turn number 3. And it looked like everyone was going to clear him. Then he was tagged by John McFadden. It broke up the front end on McFadden's car. He had absolutely no way to control it. He came all the way down into 4, then into the infield, and slammed solidly into the retainer.
Well, at the top of this race, we thought the story was going to be riders who had never seen this track before. Brett Bodine's never run AIR. Connie Saylor hasn't seen this track in a year, hasn't been in the car in a year. But in fact, the first wipeout we've seen here early in the race, Dale, has been a couple of guys who have run this race 2 and 3 times each. Does that blow our pre-race theory entirely?
That puts us on a different step. But what happened, these guys are riding under caution now, and they really hadn't run a lap under competition. And they're sitting there with all as much jitters as they had, earlier this morning. So they really hadn't settled in on anything right yet. So all the drivers are still nervous, too.
Field moving down out of turn number 4. Pace car is in. A serious incident. No driver appeared injured. They both walked away after that crash. Try to get a word to them in a moment. Here comes the field. Back to take green and get racing once again in the Jiffy Lube 300. To the line. Bodine behind him with 3 wide. Kurt Bryant takes a shot at second place. The field goes down into the first turn. Bodine draws away by about 10, 12. Look at him just move away from Connie Saylor in second place, and the white and red car is Kirk Bryant in third. There they are in the back straightaway.
Kirk Bryant moved up just a little bit going into the first turn, thought he might see some sort of a wind out there. That's not really the way to go in the early stages of this race anyway. If you can't stay on the bottom, you're going to lose.
Number 12 is Kirk Bryant, and he's beginning to feel a little pressure out here as they come around to complete this lap. Moving in, and trying to put a pass is Lee Raymond. We got another car spinning to turn 4. Another car, and everybody is getting around him.
Not bad.
It's car number 62, and a savage crash just beyond it. 4 cars, and 1 car going side over side. After the spin, still trying to gain control, we've had another serious crash at the turn 3 and 4 area. Roger Blackstock was the first in trouble. They've tagged the wall. There's the number 42 car. Roger Blackstock rolling over after he hit the wall at the end of pit road.
The 43 car, I think, of Terry Pearson, I believe, is the one that got a little bit out of shape, but he come across the infield,
and just didn't get it gathered back up and turned right and went right into the wall, and that really started a mess.
Pearson, the International Racing Association champion of 1985, getting in trouble. He clobbers the wall, and 4 other cars are savagely wrecked in this incident at turn number 4. Let's look at a replay. There's the 62 car getting loose and sliding. And that's the car that ends up against the wall out here.
That's not the one that causes the wreck, though.
He comes across the track.
Yeah, but they all miss him. There's a guy coming through the grass just in a minute. You'll see a guy come along the bottom in the grass. He turned straight up in front of everybody. They didn't get him.
Ingram came down. It looked like everybody was clear.
Here he goes. There he is. That's the guy there.
That's Pearson.
That's the guy that created the wreck. He turns right up in front of everybody.
He came back across the track.
And then they pile inside him. They hit him before he hit the wall.
Let's take a look at replay right here and see if we can spot the situation. There's that car flipping after it hit the end of the wall. Blackstock's car.
They'd already missed it. See, there'd already been 3 piled into each other. See that tire rolling down the racetrack? That's something I've never seen before. I've never seen them move a tire from the end of the racetrack. Those things are weighted and they're extremely big. They're big carry-all tires, and they're weighted, and they saved that boy's life. But I've never seen one move.
After a second major calamity in the early going, we await a restart here in the Jiffy Lube 300.
Welcome back to Atlanta International Raceway, where we are sweeping together the remains of yet another major altercation in today's running of the ARCA Jiffy Lube 300. Dale, we've got to wonder, your words at the top of the show about it being a long race. As a crew chief, what do you tell your driver after spending so much time under caution?
Well, they need to settle down and remember that it is a 300-mile race, and these things that have happened, these guys are still nervous. They're still nervous on this restart, and they've just got to settle down and get settled in and do their job. They got a job to do, and they need to do it.
Now let's go to Chris Economaki among the survivors down on pit road.
Well, you can see the damage done to one of the cars involved in that second accident. Here's its driver, Jim Hall from Missouri. How hard a hit was it, Jim?
I couldn't do what?
How hard a hit was it?
Well, it's pretty good, Joe. It didn't hurt me anything, but it's pretty hard.
What set it up?
Somebody spawned down low, and I think somebody was trying to miss them, and they got spinning and got in. Still 3 of them got together.
Do you think that if the drivers had more super speedway experience, the accident might not have been so serious?
It definitely would, Chris. We got a bunch of boys out there starting on the back trying to win the race the first lap.
Let's go now to Jerry Garrett on pit road.
Roger Blackstock, what happened?
Well, Terry Pearson hit the wall going up into 3, and number 36 just went down on the track, got in the apron, lost it, came up, hit him, and I had nowhere to go. I just turned the wheel, tried to spin around without hitting them. I caught the tires on the end of the straightaway there.
Took a tough lick. You're okay, though?
Yeah, I'm okay. The car's hurt a little bit, but there ain't too much I can really say about it. You know, that's racing.
Bill Venturini has a most unusual team here, and Bob Barsha has that report.
Stock car races are a lot like football games. They're won and lost in the pits, where the man-on-man battle often determines the outcome. At least that was the case until a couple of years ago, when the man standing next to me formulated the pit crew standing around me. This is Bill Venturini and his all-female ARCA pit crew. The crew is actually the mutual brainchild of Bill and wife Kathy.
We thought it would be a great idea because I've always worked in the pits, and I've always enjoyed the races and helped the guys on the crew, but I've never gone over and did the pit stops. And I thought there would be girls that would like to do this along with me, so we started with the crew.
The members range in age from 16 to 34, and all share a similar attitude toward those who scoff at a female pit crew.
They think we're just out there for the glamour, but actually we really get into it, and we really do it just like the guys. Sure, we're girls, but it's a big deal.
In fact, Venturini says his ladies can pull off a complete pit stop as fast as any male crew.
Still, you know how it is to get along with one woman? Try 16. It definitely has a problem. Her attitude is different. Their problems are a lot different, as you probably would guess. But as a whole, if I didn't feel it was worth it, I wouldn't do it.
Coming down out of turn number 4, ready to resume. In the Jiffy Lube 300, Bodine again takes off out in front. Bryan in second, Sotheby in third, Rick Wilson in fourth, and inside side by side for fifth. On the outside is Lee Raymond in the red number 1. He's taking the spot, holding it over Donner, and that's the red number 1 that's closing on the outside as they come into the back straightaway, back up on Rick Wilson. Lee Raymond making a good run. It's going side by side down the backstretch. Now you're back with second and third positions.
It's a hard way to pass on the outside, but it makes it a little bit easier on the first turn of the first lap. But he's still sliding up and doing a good job, so maybe he's found himself a groove up there.
Bryant in the white car in second. Sotheby now in third. Lee Raymond in fourth. Wilson maintaining fifth. Flying away. Bodine still another time. He qualified 3 miles per hour over the rest of the field. Here's Bodine. Here comes the rest of the pack. The posse trying to chase him. Lee Raymond looks like he has the horses. He moves on the inside. Makes a scramble of it for third, and Lee Raymond drops to the inside and takes the spot.
He's gone on both sides now. He passed on the outside going into the first turn 2 laps back, and now he's passed on the inside going into the third turn, so he's certainly got the car hooked to the ground.
Here he comes after Kurt Bryant, the red number 1. 5 career victories in the Automobile Racing Club of America. He won 1 race in 1985. Here he is, Lee Raymond, going after Kurt Bryant.
He's got a good fine line, and he's holding it right on the apron, and that's the best groove on the racetrack if he can stay down there. And he's going to take a peek down the backstretch. Can't quite do it.
They look to overtake in turn 3, don't they?
Well, they need to do it. If you're going to go into turn 3, you've got to get yourself set up pretty good before you get there and get down. It's really rough down there, but he's hooked really well in the middle, and he just pulled down underneath and went right on by.
Side by side for second place. Down to the inside, this is Lee Raymond making a move for second position. And sideways is Sotheby trying to gather it back up. He's spinning. Sotheby loops it, comes back up on the track. Field trying to get by him here. Scary moment in turn number 2. Sotheby back under control. Here's Bodine making his mark. Looks like he has a great future in front of him in motorsports. Got another spin up in turn 4. Another bad spin in turn 4. Everybody taking evasive action and getting through.
And David Sotheby, I thought it was David Sotheby again had another problem, but he just let him in this
Ford,
time.
number 92, Jones. That was the first Ford to qualify in the field. Number 92, Ralph Jones, the engine built by Ernie Elliott, is bringing out still another caution here today.
I think he left rubber all over the racetrack. He got a bad right front tire, and I think he left rubber all over the track.
Leaders are all pitting. Let's go down to Chris Economac.
Well, they're waiting now for Venturini to come in. They're wondering where he is. All right, he's headed down into pit road right now. And look, that's 80. Look at that girl with that 80-pound tire. It's not an easy job. The right side of the car is going up. Everything else seems to be going rather smoothly. The girl with the fuel tank looks like she's going to collapse here. That is not an easy job. Think of the stresses and strains that she's undergoing. Not bad. The right side tires are going on. Venturini is being ignored. Now we have a man running over the side of the pit. He's adjusting the light on the car. It almost took him in his wrench hand. That's not a bad job for this all-girl pit crew as Bill Venturini goes back into the competition.
Thanks, Chris. We do hope you can find another pit to report from sometime in the course of today's race. As we come back on a restart, it's Keselowski out in front. Bob Keselowski in first place, the black number 29 after these pit stops. Bodine moving through to overhaul it. Every one of the leaders came in for fuel and for rubber, and they're back underway on the 1.5 mile Atlanta International Raceway. There you see Keselowski. Of course, his brother made himself pretty well known in Winston Cup racing not too many years ago. This is Bob Keselowski out of Rochester, Missouri. Here comes the field moving through 3 and 4. And we have some new players up here. Bodine, for the first time, does not have the lead, and he's not going to lead this lap, but he's really trying to close. Number 1, Lee Raymond, moves in for third, and that number 71 car hangs in there in fourth.
That's Bobby Jacks. He got a good start up there, but he's just slowly falling back.
Here comes Bodine, second place car, closing up, and let's watch this interval just disappear. Keselowski's car in front. That's a good-looking car that Keselowski brought here. It stays at about 8 car lengths.
See how much higher he runs on the racetrack, and Jeff can hold it right down on the bottom, or Brett can hold it right down on the bottom, and going down the straightaway, he just eats him up.
He'll try him in turn number 1. Brett Bodine to the inside. And say goodnight to Keselowski. Lee Raymond moving in to attack for second place.
Now, you've got to be able to run on the bottom of the racetrack here, and it just he's just not doing it.
Keselowski's car dropping to third, the black number 29, as number 1 gets it up there another time into second place. We've got a spin in the back straightaway. One car spinning down on the inside and coming to a halt. Caution is out still again. We'll be back with more of the Jiffy Lube 300 from the Atlanta International Raceway after these messages. After still another caution period, ready for green with Brett Bodine in front, Lee Raymond in second, Bobby Breback now third, Tom Usery fourth, Bob Dotter fifth, Kurt Bryan sixth, Gary Bettenhausen up to seventh, 35th. On lap or two down, Bob Penrod is eighth, Stovall is ninth, Venturini, Bill Venturini is running in 10th, Howard Rose is in 11th. Field away, down into turns 1 and 2, and again, Bodine with freshly shod rubber pulls away from the field in the back straightaway. Lee Raymond is the second place car, red number 1, and there you see Adcox, who got trapped and is a lap down. Trying to move around out here.
Yeah, Adcox had to make a pit stop a while ago, and like they said, Lee Raymond was getting ready to pit in 2 more laps, and he just didn't have time to do it, and that left Adcox a lap down.
There you see the number 99. What a story here. That's Gary Bettenhausen. He's driven everything there is to drive. He's been at Indianapolis. He's been in stock cars, modified, sprints, midgets. Bettenhausen is driving a car that, when was that built? 72?
1972, built by Harry Hyde. It was for Bobby Isaac. You remember Bobby Isaac a long time ago?
My favorite.
And Gary said that he would really like to get a Winston Cup ride, or a stock car ride, but it just hasn't come about, you know. But that's an old car. That car was built in Charlotte years ago.
Harlan Dett now is the owner of that car, and his own son will drive it some on dirt. But it's Gary Bettenhausen, who's come from 35th up to 7th place. One of the most famous names in American racing, Bettenhausen. And Gary says he feels no special pressure being a part of that long family tradition of great race drivers.
No, I don't think so. I think maybe when I first started, the first couple of years, a lot of people were expecting too much from me because my name was Bettenhausen. In fact, I can remember that when I first started, a lot of people said, well, you'll never make a race driver. His dad was. But they didn't understand that at that time I had my own stock car and I was doing all the work myself, and it was really a low-budget operation. And, you know, a good race driver can't pick one of these things up and carry it. The car's got to do its share of work, too.
He's just out for a ride today, and he just keeps waiting on people and keeps moving through traffic. And as the time wears down, I wouldn't be surprised if he stays right up there in the top 10 today. For Brett Bodine, a learning experience here today. He stays out in front, kind of waits on traffic. Now you're watching Bobby Breback again with that 34 car as he continues to stay very much in the hunt. And that is Kurt. That is going to spin down in 2. Car number 3, looping Ronnie Bates, and again the caution is on the track, and another car spinning. Bates was the first car around.
Well, it's terrible if you're the only car that spins. You need another one to do it with, and that's a 62 car.
Bill Ingram.
And that's his third time, I think, today. So he's getting a lot of practice driving.
Feels like he's in a whirly mixer out there.
Yeah, but look at it, it's clean. Uh-oh, he got a bad time.
Right front tire down on car number 62 as it tries to find its way back to the pit area. Long way to go. Crawling in comes Bill Ingram, Georgia driver. He's had his share of great moments here this afternoon, that some of which he just as soon forget.
Well, it's a good experience. These guys, you know, these guys all want to be race drivers. Well, I'm not saying they're not race drivers, but they really want to be race drivers. And this is good experience for them. If they're going to drive high-speed racing, this is a better place than going to Daytona or Talladega.
All right, let's take a look at replay at these two events of the moment. There's the first one going away. Car number 3, Ronnie Bates from Kentucky, stays down on the bottom of the racetrack and out of harm's way. And at about the same time that little moment was taking place, behind him, car number 62 is having his own hands full. Bill Ingram out of Georgia. Whoops.
Well, sometimes you see a car spinning in front of you and you've got a little bit out of shape, and all you do is just back out of the throttle. And they were crossing that bump, too. They were crossing that bump we were talking about earlier. So if he's kind of up in the air, the car's about halfway in the air, and you jump out of the throttle at the same time you hit the brakes, you're going to spin.
Lee Raymond, the second-place car, is in the pits. He's a lucky man. He was going to make a pit stop in 2 laps before that caution came out, so he's able to come in under the caution and keep up with the leader. We talked to him on the radio just before he came in, and he said he just thought Brett Bodine was playing with him. He's driving as hard as he can to hang on out there. He's going to change all 4 tires to try and get an edge.
Meanwhile, number 15, Bodine in there. Let's go to Chris Economec.
Here we are back with the girls. They're changing the left side tires this time. And again, the mechanics, one man on the crew, are changing them. Wade almost got his left arm taken off. He's rubbing it there. These tires weigh 80 pounds. Look at these gals hustling them over the wall. They're doing a truly great job here today.
Chris, there are some other folks in the pits today.
Well, there's other pits I know. I'm trying to teach one of these girls about wedge. She slapped me in the face. We'll get that straightened out.
Yeah. I say talking about wedge.
More from the Atlanta International Raceway in the Jiffy Lube 300 after these messages. Coming down to still another restart here at the Jiffy Lube 300 at Atlanta International Raceway. Lee Raymond is pitted. He's rejoined the field in the lead lap on the restart. Brett Bodine in front. Now Bobby Breback has pulled up into the second spot. Bob Dotter is in third. And there you see the Lee Raymond car coming next, 4th position. Raymond darted in for just a moment on pit road, took on some additional fuel, comes back on the track. Kirk Bryant is running next in position. And still staying 10th is Bettenhausen in that car that many thought wouldn't last even 10 laps. He's kept it out of trouble and just stayed on the racetrack. On the brake. Say good night. Bodine pulls away once again. Bobby Breback, Bob Dotter. Here's Adcox in there trying to get his lap back. Adcox in the number 2 is really making a stab at getting that lap back. It looks like he's going to do it right here.
Yes, he did. He just drove down under him and said, hey, I'm here and I'm going to pass, and he did it.
Now let's see if the orders come out for Bodine to move back around and put Adcox a lap away. Strong car, veteran driver, knows his way around these super speedways. With another caution, he could be a real problem for Bodine.
Uh-oh, he's slipping up in the middle just a little bit. If he continues to do that, Bodine's going to sock him in a minute.
But Bodine moved up a little that time. Now number 83 on the inside, Dotter, the former ARCA champion, and Bobby Breback, wheel to wheel, back straightaway. The 34 on the outside. That's Bobby Breback, and with him is Bob Dotter. Dotter in a terrible crash at Talladega not too many years ago. Remember, he absolutely destroyed a car. Came right back out and ran the rest of the season with ARCA. Here they are, main straightaway, another time, side by side. You're watching the battle for second position. And for the moment, Bobby Breback give him second position. Dotter goes back to third. Lee Raymond sitting back here, the defending ARCA champion, that red number 1, just watches it. There's Sosby in that black automobile. You know, his dad, Gover, led, I think, the first lap down at Darlington years ago.
I don't remember, and I know he was down there and ran some, but I don't remember what they did.
Number 81, Sosby, David Sosby, out of Dawsonville, Georgia. Here, right down to the bottom of the racetrack. You could see him aim that thing down there that time.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good place to run, and the car's sticking pretty well down there. The only thing it doesn't give him a jump up off the corner right.
Raymond at number 1 closes on Dotter in 83. Number 1 looks for 83, and they both moved out and took that higher line. Here's Raymond coming down on the inside. Down to the inside. Here comes Lee Raymond working his way up on Bob Dotter. They're wheel to wheel in the back straightaway, and number 1, Lee Raymond, takes over in third spot. Bob Dotter dropping back a spot. Dotter drives with an artificial left arm, the result of an industrial accident, but that handicap doesn't affect his driving.
I don't believe it affects it in any way. Maybe you get a little bit more tired later on because you're using more. It's harder to sit in the seat because you don't have the balance of the 2 hands to hold you up. But just fatigue more than anything else.
Scott Stovall, you saw him, the number 0, is running a lap down. He's being shown in 8th position.
Now Brett's going to make a move again. He drove down underneath Adcox going through 3 and 4, and he pulled it off. So I don't know if he was just biding his time and waiting for the right time, or but when Adcox slipped up, well, Brett just drove under him.
So once again, the Grant Adcox car is looking from a lap down or better. Grant Adcox car being reported. Let's see how many laps down they have it. It's more than one. It's more like three. And Adcox is off the pace, but he's trying anything to get himself back in this race.
Yeah, he's got a problem again, too. He's either got a flat tire or something. He just run in the turn and just run right straight up the racetrack that time. So he's still got a problem of some sort.
Bodine comes across in the first position as they continue to sort him out here at the Atlanta International Raceway. Lee Raymond has now moved all the way to second spot. Bobby Breback is in third. Bob Donner is in fourth. This man has been the entire story of the race. The younger brother of Jeff Bodine, Brett Bodine, driving a Hendrick automobile, has solidly stayed in front only on 2 occasions as he had to look up from under.
Now, Ronnie Bates is having trouble. He's in the third turn. He's looks like he's got it shut off. And we're talking about Bettenhausen. He's in the pits.
That Bettenhausen car, which made such a run, is now resting down on pit road from 35th all the way up into the top 10. And they're servicing the car and moving around on it. They may try to get him back out. Meanwhile, here's Bodine in the number 15. Whoa, car spinning out of control, bottom of the racetrack. Spins around trying to bring it to a halt and not get it back up on the track. That's that Donner car that we were talking about a few moments ago. No caution, no yellow thrown as Bob Donner loops it. Remember, he's driving with one arm, and you heard him say that late in the going. It can be a tiring and sometimes harrowing occupation out there.
I would think it would, because just like he said, just from the balance of setting up in a turn.
Let's look again at it. Oh, he got nailed. He didn't lose that one. He got drop kicked. Jones took him out. Now, he might have come out of the accelerator a little early and had Jones drive into it. That sometimes happens. But that sure wasn't anything but getting full contact out there.
He got popped hard enough to knock him loose, and it did it. You've got to really be expecting something like that when it happens to you. If you're not expecting it, you're not expecting the car behind you to hit you. It'll spin you almost every time.
We have 4 cars in the lead lap as we get to decision time this afternoon at the Atlanta International Raceway in the first race of 1986. Let's go to Bob Varsha at the STP Pit Center.
Well, Ken, after watching the first 23 out of 25 laps of this race run under caution, we seem to have nothing but strong cars and careful drivers out there. Lee Raymond got only the slightest look at the lead earlier in this race, but he may be, in fact, able to pull this race off by running second and using careful pit strategy. Dale Inman, I'll put you on the hot seat right now. Who do you think has got all the marbles out there now? Bodine in front or Raymond sitting in back with a full tank in second?
Well, if you'll tell me about the caution laps, then I can tell you more. But right now, Brent has got to stop unless we have another caution under green, and that's certainly going to hurt his chances to win the race. But should there be another caution, I'm sure Raymond would come in and put on 4 new tires with Brent, and then I think Brent would still have him covered. But Raymond is right now, with no caution, he's in the driver's seat, I think.
Well, the climax is yet to come. Back to you, Ken.
A little concern there from Jeff Bodine as he's on the radio to his brother. Here's Chris Economac.
I'm down in Lee Raymond's pit with crew chief David Ibb. David, 2 questions. Do you have to stop for fuel before the race is over?
No, we'll be able to go the rest of the way, but Bodine, the 15 car, will have to stop one more time with about 15 laps to go.
How much of a lead do you have?
Well, he's got a 6-second lead on us. We should be able to pick up a straightaway on him after he stops and hope we can outrun him.
Okay, there you have the story from Lee Raymond, who wears number 1 because he won the championship last year.
David Ibb had a lot of Grand National cars. He built that number 1 for Lee Raymond. I mean, built it from the ground up, and that's his business these days. For David Ibb is building race cars. All right, Bodine may come in this time around. His crew is up on the wall. The gas man has the tank up on his shoulder, and we anticipate they're going to bring Bodine in. He drops a little low down here.
Yeah, he's sitting a little bit low, and they're out with the board, so I'm sure they're going to come in this lap. So we'll see what happens. This is going to make a big difference in this race.
Crew standing by on the pit road, moves Brett Bodine. Crucial moment in the race. He's coming down pit road. Out of turn 4 comes Lee Raymond. Raymond takes the lead. Let's go to Jerry Garrett in the pits.
Well, Brett goes down here for a can of gas. One of those 18-gallon cans of gas is going in the tank. The engine's still revving. Tank is empty. He's gone. One 18-gallon tank. That hopes will do it.
A very quick stop. Actually, about 4.5 seconds on pit road and away. But it's the whoa-ing and the going.
Yep, the whoa and going get you. Yeah, it takes a while to whoa, and it takes a while to go. You got to remember, you run 170 miles an hour.
6.7, they say, is the time went from lock to lock, the time it was locked down and the time they started out again. Now, car number 1 goes down into turn number 1. We'll check the interval. It looks like better than half a lap.
Yeah, car 15 has just gone through 3 and 4. Are going
out half a lap.
So about a half a lap. We've got a clock on them here. We'll know here pretty shortly. All right, there's 19.5 seconds difference. That's he can't make that up. If there's not a caution, all the whole day of leading the race has gone to foil.
Tim Richmond, Kyle Petty, Joe Rutland, Mark Martin. What do they have in common? They all won in the Automobile Racing Club of America before they tried to move on and try other forms of racing. Bodine, at number 15, is trying to do the same thing here today. And Lee Raymond, at number 1, is trying to thwart that effort, and he's doing a grand job. And the man that's the chief strategist on car number 1, David If, may have just won the race for Lee Raymond.
Well, by getting them in and getting the fuel, I think was a very good move. Those guys sitting down there, they know how far they should go and how far they can go. And David If brought them in, fueled them, and Jeff didn't bring in Brent, so it's going to make a difference.
We'll be back to see if Brett Bodine, running in second place, can make up the distance in a moment. The man of the moment is in the yellow and white livery. It's Brett Bodine from upstate New York. This youngster, the brother of Jeff Bodine, is closing 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds per lap on the leader, number 1, Lee Raymond. Pit stops have made the difference, and now it's Bodine trying to run Raymond down, getting just a bit squirrely out of turn number 4. The family, which almost independently of everyone else, has given upstate New York so much to talk about around the Watkins Glen area. Their dad, a well-known racetrack promoter. They grew up on the modified cars. He is making... Oh, we've got a spin to the main straightaway. Ken Reagan, the comeback effort today, crashed into. It's Bobby Penrod, nailing him in the back end. Penrod is smashed all the way around. Lee Raymond, the leader, just barely getting by. Track is under caution. Ken Reagan, who suffered a broken neck the last race he was in, the first of the drivers involved in the incident. There you see Bobby Penrod, who appears unconscious, maybe coming around there. Penrod took a terrible blow as he was hit by the Venturini car and spun 360 degrees. He just barely got a piece of Lee Raymond's number 1, scraped the right side of Raymond's car, and it now appears that Raymond has a right front tire going down. The leader in drastic problems. There you see how they are deployed around the track. The Venturini car up against the wall, the Penrod car further back in your picture, and then the Ken Reagan car. As the leaders are moving around, let's see if we can get a picture of Lee Raymond's number 1. He took some abuse. Now the safety crew out for Bob Penrod. Apparently the worst hurt of the 3 that have crashed in the main straightaway here in the Jiffy Lube 300. Penrod ramming into the Reagan car and in turn being rammed by the Venturini car. And there you see Lee Raymond, right side, badly torn up on car number 1, the leader. He's really on the ropes, waiting out the caution. If he pits, he'll lose the race. He's just trying to stay out there and go around, but he has a flat right front tire. Can he make it? Let's take a look at what happened in this incident. In replay, Ken Reagan's car spins coming out of turn number 4. Car number 17 coming down the straightaway, and cars beginning to run out of room. Disaster is about to strike. As the 17 comes to a halt, he is slammed to the back by Bobby Penrod's car. Penrod's car lies there, and now another car is about to be involved. Slamming into Penrod once again and turning him around. I think that's the Venturini car. Venturini's car that is totally destroyed in the front. Venturini is up against the wall. He is still not clambered out of his automobile. And Penrod is unconscious in his car.
Yeah, he's moving now. He really rang his bell, though.
Here's we're going to finish under caution.
The leader, here you see him. Remember, just after those incidents, he drove over something, tore up a right tire. He has yet to pit. He's gambling he can get it home, I believe. Well, he's already taken a lap or 2.
They're going to try to do it. He just got such a few laps to go. They're not going to get the race restarted. If he can run on the rim, he's got the right front tire busted. and he hit Penrod's car, by the way, and that cut the right front tire down. Now, he's running on the rim itself. He can stay on the rim without busting something, busting a brake line or anything, then he's going to continue on. Brett can't pass him. He's going to stay where he is.
Reagan and Penrod wrecked in the first lap of last year's Atlanta Journal 500. Here's Venturini out of his automobile. Well, he was having a lot of fun today. He's certainly given us a lot of fun with a great pit crew and all of that, but that's a hard way to end it. Meanwhile, here's the drama. Number 1 with a right tire gone away, riding on the rim. Let's go to Jerry Garrett with his crew chief right now.
What's the strategy now? What's the strategy now?
Well, we got a right front tire flat and his front end's bent up, but it's going to finish under the caution. So we're just going to stay out there and I guess till the right front spindle drags off and win it.
That's David Ift. And they're going to stay out there until the car falls apart at this point.
As the tire comes off, it's going to keep eating away at the sheet metal, and if something doesn't hang up and pull that wheel off, then he's going to make it. He's got a lap and a half to go.
Remember 1960 Southern 500, Buck Baker winning on 3 wheels?
Yeah, it happens.
Venturini's car is up on the hook and being taken in. White flag is coming out. The white flag is coming out.
The rubber is running. It's about to get on fire. There was a piece of fire. I'd seen a fire go in, and then it went out. But I've seen a big piece of rubber come over and slap that fender also, and the wheel was sliding. So if that doesn't happen and lock up, if he can make it one more trip, 1.5 miles,
there he goes.
He's in good shape.
This is the last lap.
See how hot it's getting? See it smoking? If he doesn't get a fire started or get, you know, there's a lot of things could happen. That's malfunctioned race car right now.
There's Bodine in second spot. And the drama is right here. As the field is under caution, this race will finish under yellow. Let's go to Jerry Garrett.
Well, Ken, David Ift is a happy man down here. He says, just like the old days, we outsmarted him.
Haven't outsmarted him yet. That right front dragging down on the ground, trying to get this car back home. He's half a lap away from winning.
Well, you think about it, you know, for people just driving, they're doing 50 miles an hour. You know, they're driving about 50, 55 miles an hour. And try driving 50, 55 miles an hour on a flat tire for 7 or 8 miles. That's what he's done. So, and you can imagine what it is.
There you see the smoke pouring off the right front. About a corner away. Plenty hot out there. Lee Raymond has to be concerned. You can see the joy down there in the pits. They think they have it. There's nothing Bodine can do but wait. They still have Penrod and his automobile. They're taking away car number 17. And down the main straightaway comes Lee Raymond's car. The first race of 1986 for the Automobile Racing Club of America has one of the most incredible finishes I've ever seen. Raymond will win it. Checkered flag is out.
And he's on fire.
Car number 1.
There's the fire underneath the car. So.
All head up. Gets down into the first turn, winning. And the man who led it all day until those very final laps, number 15, Brett Bodine, will wind up in second place.
He's going to take a shortcut. He's not going to make the lap. He's going to come back down pit road, which I think is a smart thing to do. In fact, he even spun the wheels a little bit, huh? And you may as well grandstand some, huh? You're on fire. Your wheels has come off. You've survived the whole thing, and sure, you grandstand a little bit.
A storybook finish for Lee Raymond in the Jiffy Lube 300 here at the Atlanta International Raceway. Brett Bodine is relegated to second place. Who would have believed midway in the going that Lee Raymond would be in victory lane? But Lady Luck and pit stops thwarted his effort today, and number 15, Bodine, is relegated to second place. Here's Chris Economaki.
Congratulations, Lee. What were your thoughts the last 3 laps?
When the wreck happened or after the tire blew?
After you went through the wreck.
Dave Ift and them guys just kept yelling, don't stop for nothing. You only need 3 wheels. So we just kept on going.
Did you know that there was so badly damaged up front?
Yeah, I knew there was. I told them as soon as I hit Penrod that there was some heavy damage over there.
How about it? Did you think you could win it when it started out the way Bodine dominated today?
It would have been touch and go. I think we could have put on a good race. Because I knew, you know, that he had to make another pit stop. So we was anticipating that. And we was done. We didn't have to pit no more.
I know that, but those last couple of laps, did you think you could get through? You know, there was a fire under there for a little while.
Yeah, that was where the wheel was all hung up. That was all tire. It's over in 3, burning still.
Well, what a way to start a new season wearing number 1 on the side of your car. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Jim Coyle, the Drain Boys, the Timmerman Boys, Dave Iff, Bobby Wells, and Jerry Guerra. Thank you all. This is your race.
Well, Dale, at the top of this show, we said we were going to analyze pit strategy, but I don't think we ever could have known we were going to see strategy like we had to have out there on the racetrack today.
Well, Raymond and his crew, they didn't have no gamble. They were beat on the racetrack. They had to stop where they could go the distance and hope that there wasn't another caution, and that's the way it was. Of course, they finished on 3 wheels, and they'll take them anyway.
Okay, back to you, Ken.
And there's good news on Bob Penrod. After that terrible lick you saw him take, they say that he's all right, reporting no injuries. A final look at the standings today. Again, it's Raymond first, Bodine second, Brayback third, Tommy Usury fourth, and Grant Adcox is now being registered for the 5th position here on the end of the Jiffy Lube 300. An exciting day of racing at the Atlanta International Raceway. For Bob Barsha, Dale Inman, Richard Brooks, Jerry Garrett, Chris Economaki, I'm Ken Squire.
The Jiffy Lube 300 was brought to you by your neighborhood Jiffy Lube, America's fluid maintenance leader, coast to coast.